Okay, so what is your full name?
Betty Jean Paris Armstrong.
And why did your parents select this name for you?
They named me after my two first cousins. One's name was Betty Sue and the other one Darce Jean. So, Betty Jean.
Did you have a nickname?
Butterball. Oh, me.
Oh.
They said they named me Butterball because my skin was so white when I was born.
Okay. When and where were you born?
Coleman Hospital,
Okay.
December the 25th, 1947.
Do you know how your family came to live in this area?
Not really.
No. All right. Well, then let's
I
talk
guess
about...
because grandmother lived here.
Okay. All right. Well, tell me about the house that you lived in. Did it have any describe it? Did it have bathrooms? Did it have electricity, indoor plumbing, telephones, TV?
We didn't have any indoor bathroom. We had to go outside to a toilet. We didn't have a washer or electric dryer. We had a wringer-type washing machine.
Okay.
We hung the clothes out, even if it was freezing rain. Our hands would freeze sometimes trying to hang those clothes on the line. I think the clothes was freezing like our hands was.
So, no bathrooms?
We drew our water. We didn't have...
You didn't have running water inside the house?
We didn't have running water. We drew our water. I think Juanita she'd clean house, and I thought my job was to draw water.
Did you get it out of the well?
Yeah. But with Juanita, you drew water. You drew lots of water. But she got the house clean. I mean, she scrubbed the walls and everything was clean.
Did you have a telephone?
Yeah. It was a landline phone. You know, you shared the line with your neighbors.
Right. So a party line type.
Yeah, a party line.
Is there any special things or items or stuff you remember about that house that you grew up in?
Well, it was a 3-bedroom, 5-room house. It wasn't a very big house.
So you had a lot of people living together, right?
Yeah, and it was like we always had a bed in Mother and Daddy's bedroom. Me and Myra and Dale and Randy, we all slept together when we were smaller.
Okay, we got...
And we got the dog in the picture. Maybe at the bottom of the bed and the top of the bed too.
Now why would you do that?
Because we was all little. They didn't have nowhere else to put us. They always seemed to let the older ones sleep in the other bedroom. Like Juanita and Jamie slept in that room. Me and Myra slept in there with them. And when they moved on, then me and Myra had to move in with Mom and Dad, and the boys got the bedroom.
Did you have family chores, and what were they?
We had to wash dishes. We had help. Well, my job was to clean up after Mother while she was cooking. There was a lot of work cleaning up after her.
Did you get an allowance or paid anything?
Uh-uh.
How'd you make...
Well, they paid us our lunch money, and then after we got in high school, we took our lunch money. We just didn't eat at school that day. We took our lunch money and bought our makeup and hairspray and stuff with.
I was going to ask you, what'd you spend money on, if you had any?
Makeup, hairspray, and fingernail polish, and curlers, and we shared it with Mom too.
What was your least favorite chore?
Picking cucumbers.
Really?
Yeah, because you pick cucumbers half a day, your back would be killing you. Pick cucumbers, and then we'd pick bell pepper, and then we had tomatoes to pick, and if it wasn't that, we was hoeing cotton.
Where did you go to grade school, junior high, high school?
I went to grade school at Providence, and I had By the time I got in 6th grade, they only had 2 teachers, so we had 1 teacher for 3 grades. And they didn't have a lady to help the lunchroom lady, so by the time I was in 6th grade, we helped the lunchroom lady.
Okay.
But we paid for our lunch too.
Uh-oh. Okay.
And we helped clean up the dishes, and then we went back to class.
When you were in high school, did you do any activities other than work and school? I mean, like cheerleading, band, anything like that?
Didn't have time. I had to go home and work. We had fields to work in.
I'm just asking. From what I heard, there was a lot of working in the fields, sometimes picking cotton in the fall, things like that, that you guys were working a lot.
We were working a lot.
Not a lot of free time.
We wanted it to really rain, because if it rained, we got a little time off.
So what'd you do when it rained?
Well, we'd have a little time off, but, you know, if it quit and it was dry enough, we went right back to work.
Okay. When you were in high school, do you remember any fads, hairstyles, clothes, music, artists, things that come to mind?
Well, the Beatles.
So,
Wasn't that about the time the Beatles come?
so you were born in 47?
66. I graduated in 66.
So the Beatles were probably huge then.
Yeah.
So you remember them?
Yeah, I remember them.
Um,
We still didn't do it. I didn't start dating till I was older.
When you were growing up, tell me about, did your family eat together and what was it like?
We always eat together. Dad always made sure we was always at the table by the time Mother got the food on the table. We always eat together. And if we had company, we ate in the kitchen and the company ate at the table. And
Would
we
this
waited.
be breakfast, lunch, or dinner, or what?
Probably lunch if they were there.
What was your favorite food as a child?
Chocolate. But hey, I love cornflakes, but we never had cornflakes until one and Janie was working. They bought us the cornflakes. They carried us to the dentist. They paid for our dental work.
Really?
Yeah.
What is the oldest relative that you remember, and what do you remember about them?
The oldest relative. Grandmother, I guess.
This is your dad's?
My dad's mother, because I never knew my other grandparents. They were already passed away.
Okay, and was this Dixie?
Yeah.
Okay.
She carried us fishing.
She teach you anything?
Would always go down to her house, no matter what, every night at the same time, she'd be sitting at the table studying her Bible. She'd be sitting in the same spot. Or you could go down there in the evening. She might be in the back room quilting. But if we ever got sick or had a cold, she was up there with her mustard plasters.
What's a mustard plaster?
It's something she fixed up. She put over our chest and pinned to our shirt. And it didn't smell good. But it's supposed to help you cold. Kind of like they took an old flannel gown and they cut them up into pieces and put this, ever what it is she fixed up in it. She was always up there with her around with these.
What positive stories or interesting stories you come to mind about your parents or grandparents or Dixie? What do you think? Anything stands out?
Well, they were good people.
Okay.
And what stands out in my mind, the grandmother, is she's always there at the table studying the Bible. And you know, Mom went to church. Dad did too. He drank, but he tried to quit several times. But he always had these other people that hindered him.
When and how did you meet your spouse?
My sister's friend had went out with him. And then my sister went with him. And
Which
she
sister?
wanted, Myra,
Okay.
she wanted to go on a date with the guy that she married, Glenn. So we went on a double date. And she said, you got to go out with him. You'll like him. He's perfect for you. So before we went out, we met. He let me drive his car. His friend Glenn said, don't let you drive his car. He don't let no girl drive his car. I think I left the brake on.
Did he
But
say anything? He didn't
He
say
talked
anything?
all the time. And I liked that because I didn't talk much. I like somebody that talks.
How would you describe your spouse?
Really a good person. Treats me well. He can do just about anything. He sets his mind to it. I wouldn't trade him for nothing.
What do you admire? But what do you admire most about him?
He talks and makes friends easy.
How'd you feel when you found out you were going to be a parent for the first time?
Excited, happy. Couldn't hardly wait. He was happy too. I think, back then they didn't get to be in the hospital room when they were born.
Mm-hmm.
So he had to wait 3 days before he could even hold her.
Really?
The first time he got to hold her, his tear come out of his eye. He was so proud of her.
How did you choose your children's names?
Well, I wanted to name Connie Denise, and he didn't like it. So he come up with Connie. But he let me keep Renee.
Okay.
So that's how we come up with Renee. I think he looked through the TV guide. I don't know how he come up with Connie.
And your other children?
Stephen, well, we kind of come up with Stephen's name. I like Stephen, and then we give Stephen Donald's name, first name. I didn't want to give him Columbus.
Okay.
I didn't want to stick Columbus on him. So Stephen's is Stephen Donald.
Okay.
And Frank was kind of surprised when he come along. We just give him both of his grandpa's names. Frank Conrad.
Frank Conrad. Okay. All right. What are some of your proudest moments as a parent?
When they graduated from high school, when they obeyed the gospel.
Going back to your parents, of all the things you learned from your parents, what do you feel like was the most valuable?
To be honest, to defend yourself. Mother made that clear to me. I got a spanking for that one. Always defend yourself. Don't let somebody tell a lie on you.
What accomplishments are you most proud of?
My accomplishments? Oh, wished I'd have done a whole lot more. I wished I'd have studied harder in school. I didn't make real good grades. I didn't study. I think a lot of times I'd rather wash dishes than do my homework. And then I'd get to school and wish I'd done my homework.
I understand. All right. If by some thing that your great-great-great-great-grandchildren happen to see this video sometime in the future, what would you want them and other people to most remember about you?
What would I want them to most remember? I guess I want them to remember that I was honest. I tried to do my best at what I done. I went to church.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't always put myself first. I like to have get-togethers. Me and Gerald started planning these reunions.
Mm-hmm.
I think I liked it just as well as Gerald did. It was his idea, but we both liked it. I like keeping the family together. I want everybody to stay together. I like to listen to everybody talk, and then I like to remember Gerald's passed on, but I like to remember things that Gerald done, because Gerald done some good things.
Well, tell me about Gerald.
He seemed like he was always there for you. One night he come in, he had a motorcycle wreck, and he was laughing. I can still remember that laugh because he told me he was going to be where he was going to be buried at when me and Dawn was getting our income tax filled out. He was going to be sitting up there laughing at us. I guess I could hear his laugh. I could still remember his laugh. Anyway, he said he slid on his feet a while. He slid on his behind for a while. He said, "Y'all don't believe me." I thought. He turned around. The seat of his pants was burnt off. And then he raised his shoes up and showed the soles of his shoes was burnt off. And he just laughed about it. But he come in and woke us up at midnight to tell us this.
That's funny.
He always done this. One time Dad said we had to plant peppers. And we had to get all these peppers planted before we go home. We worked all day long. Gerald said he'd take care of this situation. He'd throw the pepper plants in the woods. When we all come home, and I kept wondering, Dad's going to get on to us for this. He never said a word to us. And later Mom said, well, he felt bad about telling you had to stay after you worked hard all day.
All right. Well, is there anything else you'd like to tell people about?
I guess that's it.
All right. Well, thank you.
You know, Alicia was little. She was running around.
Wait, hold on.
He had that camper down at Grandma's.
We're still rolling. Tell me about
Yeah,
it.
he had that camper down at Grandmother's, and we was all down there. The TV was tore up, so we'd go down to Gerald's.
Mm-hmm.
Alicia was little. She was running around. We saw a flash of lights come in the trailer. It was Aunt Lee and Scotty coming off the hill with no brakes.
What happened?
They just zoomed by the trailer and stopped down below. I don't know how they managed not to get hurt, but Gerald was so proud of Alicia.
No, tell me. What about? Tell me. How was she proud? How was he proud?
He loved her. He just loved her. I don't think he could love anybody any more than he loved Alicia. He wanted to take care of her. And, you know, he run over her that time. He couldn't hardly stand it. I guess that's all I got to say.
Well, I'm going to ask one other family member this, but Alicia has, or Gerald has 2 granddaughters and a great-granddaughter. So if you were to describe Gerald or tell them about their great-granddad or granddad, what would you say?
I'd tell him they'd love him. He loved to pick at kids, but he loved kids. And they loved him. They'd go back for more. I don't know how to describe. I just think they'd love him. They'd fall in love with him if they knew him.